Hey everybody, you're now listening to Cup of Queens with Paige and Saray, and we are so excited to kick off the new year with Marceia, who founded Kindred People, a local boutique, along with her daughter and their multi-generation of fashionable women in mind.
Kindred People strives to bring fashion to each individual's personal style with quality and classic pieces. With their 2 locations, they have been able to support the Fargo and Alexandria area since 2015. We hope this episode inspires everyone as much as it did us to elevate our style for the new year.
So grab your cup and enjoy.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me to do this, and for hanging with me to sign up for a time and all of that. It got so crazy at coming into the Christmas break with school. So thank you for that.
I believe it. It's just a crazy time of year, so we totally get it. But yeah, we're so excited to talk with you. We're big fans of your store.
Oh, thank you.
So, well, I guess kind of start with an intro. Tell us about yourself. We'd love to hear what Kindred People means to you, your customers, the whole mission.
Yeah, so Kindred People I always tell people it was a place that I used to visit a ton in my daydreams. Growing up, my mom was a maker, and so she made crafts in her home that were sold in boutiques worldwide. And she always talked about the store she would have someday, and she would make things for her own store. And I think somewhere in her dreams, it tipped over into mine, and I started talking about my store and someday. And I'm a high school teacher, which is a huge passion of mine. I love teaching. I'm in my 25th year, and I love it more than when I started. And so I wasn't looking for a career thing, but it was just something that I had always kind of had inside of me, carrying on my mother's dreams, I guess. And so Kindred People started actually then, and then my daughter joined me in those ramblings about a store, and then she said, well, why don't we do it? And I was like, well, I could never see myself doing that because I'm a teacher. And then she said, well, why don't we do it together? She was going to make a career change. She had a degree in public relations, and we were actually talking about it in an ice house one night. And my husband said, you guys just quit talking, just do this. And it really just tipped over into starting the store as we started to research, and we found a space. And then we found a little bit of information through local economic council that helped us out, Small Business Association. And so I don't know that we ever said, yes, let's do this, but it just tipped over into things are falling into place. It kind of seems like we're doing this. And we opened Kindred People in 2015. And so for us, it's a manifestation of my mom and her passion for makers. Kelly's grandma Jan was a fashionista, so we find ourselves thinking about her a lot. Grandma Rosie is just a people person, and so it's kind of this mixture of these 3 women that really influenced us. And so our vision for Kindred People was about fashion, which is super fun, and we love that piece. But more so than even that, it was about also providing a space for makers and for them to launch their small businesses, and a place for people to feel very welcome. And so it was kind of the influence of those 3 women and this vision that we started to develop as we really kept talking about it. And so we had this idea in our head before it ever became a reality. And so when it became a reality, I can look back now and say that's what we were hoping for. And so that's really important to us, that it's about those pieces: makers, people, and fashion. And so I hope that Kindred People means that to the people that grace our doorstep as well. We hope that people feel it's a place for them. We really grappled a lot over the name Kindred People, and really wanted something that said, this is a place for everyone. This is a place to feel welcome. This is a place that you can come in and you can feel like you belong and that you matter. And we hope that when people open the front door, they just go, oh, I should be here. Like, this is my place. That's what we hope. And so that's really part of the name is that feeling that we hope that people have when they come into the store.
I love that.
That is so, I had no idea
Yeah.
it was like such a multi-generational thing that you guys started, and that's so incredible. And it's so fun that you say that, because personally when I walk through the store, I feel like there's so many different styles and different unique things that can fit to others' personal styles. So do you kind of, I mean, I know you mentioned that with one of the grandmas that you kind of envisioned them. How do you kind of pick and choose what styles do enter your store?
Yeah, so we had a philosophy when we started that we wanted it really to be a place for everyone. And so when we bought, we would buy with certain people specifically in mind. And it might be a friend of mine. So I'm 50, so some of my friends are 10 years older than me. And so I would be like, oh, my really good friend Nancy would wear this. And then my daughter Kelly, who's 30, has friends 10 years younger than her. And she'd go, oh, my friend so-and-so would really like this. And so we would kind of get the ends of the spectrum. Kelly and I have very similar tastes. If we would go shopping at a store, we'd end up at the checkout with about exactly the same thing. And we're not in the same generation, right? And so we felt like we kind of had a taste that really was pretty broad anyways. And so we did that for the first several years that we were buying. And recently we've made a bit of a shift to narrow our focus a little bit. Like we still consider like generations, but our fashion is more targeted to a certain demographic, because we want more of a feeling of this is my place. And we were getting a lot of, oh, my daughter would love it here. So we're trying to really hit more of a target market so that Kindred People becomes a place, like the place, the place they think of when they like, I need something and I know I'm going to find it there. And so we've evolved that a little bit, but we're still trying to be super inclusive, kind of hoping that people will find something no matter who they are. And that's why the artisan piece is really important to us too, because we have so many cool artisan pieces, eclectic pieces that you can't find at other shops. And so that we hope speaks to, those people that maybe our fashion is a bit of a miss for them. They still find other things.
Yeah. So, talking a little bit about going into the new year, obviously 2022 is upon us. And so fashion always changes and there's always different trends. So are there any new trends or different things that you see coming into the new year, or different things that you would predict?
Yeah, I sort of have like a unfair advantage because I was in high school in the 80s and college in the early 90s, and like everything that I'm seeing I'm like, I literally had that, like totally had it. And I can dig back and I can find pictures of it and I can show, the girls, the stylists and our managers. I'm like, see, I had these. And so I feel like in a little bit, I can almost predict the future, because it's like, okay, I see this is where it's going. And there's very, trends in the 80s and 90s fashion right now. And I can see the things that haven't come about yet, but I had. And so I'm wondering, like, is this what's coming next? And so I'm like, I think you'll see some like ballet influence, some romantic, in the 80s, Madonna did it super edgy, but there was still that feminine lace ballet, slipper style shoes. I wonder if that's not coming, because I haven't seen that yet as much as some of the other 90s and late 80s trends. I still think comfort is going to remain, because I don't think anyone's going back, truthfully. I'll never go back. And so I continue to see that evolving, but I see it getting more fashionable, because now we are going out and we don't want to give up the comfort, but yet we want to look cute. And so I'm seeing a lot of, light blazers with joggers, and ways that you could wear a t-shirt dress, but dress it up maybe with some chunky jewelry. And so I see that fashion and comfort are going to collide, which I love, because one of the things at Kindred People we've always been very particular about is that our things would be soft and comfortable. And so when we go to market, we like touch every fabric. And if it's not soft, it's not coming to Kindred People. It's been our rule of thumb. And so we like that mixing because that speaks to us too. Because we know that if people walk out of the store and something's not comfortable, no matter how awesome it is, they're not going to reach for it in their closet. And so we want to make sure that people are getting pieces that they'll actually wear and continue to reach for in their closets. So I kind of wonder about those influences. I think nature, outdoorsy vibes are going to still stay into the spring and the summer. I think you're going to see the collision of more like outdoor lines with fashion and bringing those comfortable. And I think we found an appreciation for outdoors during the pandemic too, because it's like the only place we could be.
Yeah.
And so I see that still influencing fashion going forward. I see that country club style, the vest sweaters, the pleated skirts still carrying over into summer. And I think color is going to stick around for a while. I think people are looking for happy and bright. Mm-hmm. We tend to be very neutral at Kindred People. And my daughter Kelly said, Mom, we got to be careful. We don't want our store to be like sad, right? Like we got to make sure. And I do think that color is going to continue to pop this spring and summer.
I love to hear that. I think that it's just fun to have new things to pick up. But how do you stay up to date on the trends besides kind of looking back on what you've worn in your past, days? What do you go to any resources or do you watch runway? Kind of where do you get inspiration to think this is the next thing that's coming into style?
Yeah. One of the lines we carry is Free People. And so they set the trends, right, for affordable fashion, right? Like it's just the hierarchy of fashion. I mean, they're seeing the trends on the runways of the major cities, and then they're doing it. And then the next year or two, everyone else is doing what Free People did. And so I love that we have Free People because we can really see what they're offering and know that that's going to influence the trends for the next year or two, even in the more affordable price lines. And so that I love. I teach high school, so I see the early adapter high school students. They know trends, they follow trends, and there's some of them that are out there. They try them right away, and I get to see those kids all the time. And so I feel like I get a good idea of what's coming or what people are feeling comfortable with. A lot of people my age don't have a front row seat to a bunch of teenagers like I do. And so I think that's an advantage too. Like when I see a lot of the girls wearing things, I know that this is where the trends are going. This is what they're going to be looking for and wanting. And their older sisters, their moms are going to follow, but just a little bit later, right? Typically. And so that's another thing that I do. I have a really great team as well. And so we talk a lot about what they're seeing, what they're liking. They're very talented at styling and merchandising. And so I look to them too for what are they gravitating towards? What are they seeing for trends? And then we go to markets all over the country. And so there's a lot of information on those websites in prep for going to market that talks about trends and what's happening and what to be looking for. And we always have to temper that, right? Like when I see something at market, a lot of times we're not ready for it here for about a year.
Okay.
So I feel like we're at an advantage that way too, because we can take our time adapting to what the trends are, because the East Coast and the West Coast are going to wear them sooner, and then we're eventually going to adopt them here. It's a little bit different with technology and us seeing more faster, but we're still a little bit behind some of the bigger cities on the coast to adapting fashion. I also have a niece that lives in LA, and she keeps me updated too on what's coming.
That's so cool. So what are some of those like trends or those different looks that you have seen become slower here? Like they're maybe really popular in LA right now, but they don't become popular here for another year later.
The very first thing I noticed when we first opened were fur vests. So if you back up about 7 years ago, the chunky fur vest, I saw it at market, and we bought one, and it did not sell. And then it was like the next year I couldn't keep them in stock. So that was one thing. We've had a slow transition to straight leg denim or flare denim. I saw it at market a couple of years ago. We're seeing a slow transition to that here now. So those are just a couple of examples, but the fur vest one really stuck out. And that's when I learned to like, oh, I got to make sure I don't go too ahead of what people are wanting.
Yeah. I'm surprised because North Dakota, it's cold here. You would think people would naturally gravitate towards that, but
Well, I'm sure you've learned a lot of kind of do's and don'ts throughout, since you guys have started this business. And we have a segment on our show called As You Shouldn't. I know being around high schoolers, you hear them say as you should all the time. That's where I picked it up. So we want to hear from you a story where maybe you did something that you shouldn't have, but you learned from it.
Yeah, there's a million of those stories because we are really self-taught retail and boutique owners. I never worked retail ever. My daughter did just a little bit, but she has a background in the marketing public relations, so that was helpful. So we have learned a lot, really the hard way, which I feel like through experience as a teacher, I know through experience, that's how you really learn. And so I just like, it's part of owning a business is we're gonna learn as we go. But probably the one where we still comes to mind when we think about like big mistakes that we made that we learned a lot from was really early on when we opened it. It might have been probably our second market. We thought about bringing in swim, and we spent a ton of time with a woman who was so patient with us, picking out a mix and match swim line, tops and bottoms. And we thought, okay, if we're going to do it, we want to have a good assortment so people can mix and match, whatever. And we realized after she had spent probably an hour with us that they weren't priced together. They were priced separately. And they were way out of our price point that way. And so we had to make our apologies, and we didn't place the order. And we literally had to walk by her 100 times over the course of that week while we were at market. And we felt so dumb and like inexperienced and like, who are we even kidding? I don't even know if we can do this, but we learned a lot, and she was awesome. And I'm sure we weren't the first, and nor will we be the last. But we learned a valuable lesson that we really need to look at price points before we get too excited about a line in front of us. Because sometimes you just get really wrapped up in how cute the stuff is. And then you realize that, oh, nobody's going to buy this because they're not going to be able to afford it. It's just way outside of our price point. So it's not going to fit our demographic of buyers. So
I think that would be a challenge going to market. It would be so difficult. I feel like to not want to be like, this is great. This is great. That's great. And not even just pay attention to the price, because you would love everything. You wouldn't want to see the price. Oh gosh, that's a good one. Yeah, that is good. And okay, also, we didn't ask this either, but I'm just curious, where do you teach at?
Alexandria High School.
Okay, very cool.
Oh
my
gosh. Yeah.
You're just doing busy. The most.
Right.
It's fun. They're completely different. So I by the end of the one, I'm ready for the other, you know what I mean? So it's kind of nice that it fills my bucket. Both of them do. And my kids are always like, are you going to quit teaching? I'm like, no, I'm not. It's just the other thing I do.
Yeah. That is awesome. Good for you for being able to juggle all of that and do it so well. I mean, it's incredible to see what you've done with Kindred People. And I had no idea you were doing something alongside of it. So that's incredible.
Yeah, I have an amazing, amazing team at Kindred People. So we have our stylists, our managers. I think they love Kindred People as much as we do, which is, just a true blessing to us. But I don't think I could do it if I didn't have all those queens in place, because we really have a team of them. And so it's in really good hands when we can't be there, which is, I don't know that everyone gets to say that. So we feel very fortunate to have such amazing women that we get to work with and that run Kindred People when we're not able to be there. So that
is awesome.
It's all them for sure.
Yeah. Well, they have a great role model to look up to. So I'm sure that helps, but
they're just so innovative and creative. And the pandemic really, I mean, when you shut down, you find out who is resilient and who's not. And resilient people are people that can be creative. And it really forced us to like reinvent and really rethink and really prioritize, like, what are we even doing, right? And because I had such amazing people on my team, they helped us through that. And they didn't give up either. Like, they stuck it out, and it pushed us to do like our girls' night in, which is a live event we do every Thursday night. Like, we didn't do that pre-pandemic, and we're like, we have no way to connect with people, and we know people are needing to connect right now. And so what can we do? And so we came up with the idea of girls' night in, since we were all stuck in during the pandemic. And the girls do it with me every single Thursday. And now it's been going on for a year and a half. And we pushed ourselves to get on live and to talk and to interact with people. And now we have a huge comfort level with it now, but it pushed us at the beginning. And so I appreciate the creativity of the girls on our team and how they're willing just to dig in and like do what needs to be done. To meet the needs of our guests and our customers. And that's really what that was about, was we just felt people needed something, and what could we do to help? And so that was a fun thing that transpired that was sort of unexpected, and has continued to be just a highlight for us and for a lot of people that tune in every week. So that's been fun too.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool. It's so cool to see how people evolve in those situations. And that's awesome that your team was able to, come out stronger from that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So are there any specific pieces that every woman should have in their closet? Any specific staple pieces, ways that people can essentially refresh their closet without breaking the bank on a whole new wardrobe?
Yeah, I think a good denim jacket, a good blazer, good pair of denim, the perfect white t-shirt, a good pencil skirt, the little black dress for sure. Like, those things, I feel like if you have those staples, then you can really just continue to add pops of trends to those staple looks, like those classic looks, pretty easily and stay pretty relevant. I also think there's certain lines, like we carry BB Dakota. And BB Dakota does the same classic pieces every single year. They maybe just change a little something about it. And so I feel like if you buy a piece from them, that's a piece that's going to be a staple, and you're going to be able to build around that no matter, what the trends are or the season is even. You're just going to be able to add those accessories to those pieces, and they're going to stay really staple. And so those are probably my go-tos that I would say have those things. And it's like, if you could pack that on a trip, you'd be set, right, for the whole week. Those are the things I encourage people to have in their closet, and to maybe spend a little bit more on, because you won't just wear them one season, you'll continue to bring them back.
Yeah. What are you going off of that? What is kind of that balance of quality and quantity? I know that's something I personally always fight myself with, that I'm like, gosh, I want a new outfit every day, but also I want stuff that's really nice, and you kind of have to give and take a little bit. So where is it really valuable to maybe focus on quality and splurge on those pieces? And where do you think it's maybe justifiable to, hey, maybe don't spend your entire bank account on this?
Yeah. I think the staple pieces are where I would spend my money, and the trends is where I would go cheaper. The things that you're only going to wear one season, or possibly just wear one season. My exception to that would be is if you love it. Like, if you just love it, then splurge. It'll bring you joy, even if you do only wear it that one season. If it's something that you are just like, this is a treat. This isn't something I do every day, but I'm gonna really treat myself today on this, and it's pretty trendy. Outside of that, I would say, stick with the, your outer layering pieces, quality, the little shirts, things under that can be a little less expensive, and with the more trends.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite like style icon? I feel like that's always something that I'm like, oh my gosh, everything this lady wears, I absolutely love. Or, how do you guys keep up and continue that inspiration?
Yeah. So for me personally, like if I think of style icon, like the person that I'm always like every single time, like is Jennifer Aniston. I love her because she's so modern, clean lines, but then she makes it like a little bit sexy and interesting. Like, and then she's fit, right? And so she's a healthy person. She just looks healthy. And so I always have loved her style, especially when her hair got more boho, because I like the modern clean, but I also like that boho. And I felt like her hair did that for her look. And so that's a look that like when I think of somebody, like every time I see her on the red carpet, every time I see her in a Us magazine, I'm just like, oh, I love what she's wearing. Like I would wear that. And then when we started the store, we actually were binge watching Gossip Girl at the time, even though it had come out years before. And we were just like in our heads, we're like, in our store, we want a Serena van der Woodsen, Blair Waldorf kind of mix, because Serena's edgy and boho, and then Blair's just so classic. And so we saw like those two in our heads when we went shopping, and we tried to have a mix of those three styles so that we kind of achieved all of the looks that we would personally want to have in our closet depending on the occasion. And so that's something else that we really defined for ourselves. And then as we continue to really define who we're buying for, we try to really keep that person in mind when we're buying, so that we don't start to go too far from the demographic that we're really serving at Kindred People.
Yeah. Oh,
I love that.
I love it. I have not heard Jennifer Aniston, because I think we've asked this question to a couple of people before. And now I'm like going to go Pinterest her entire life because I love her. I don't know why I've never thought of her.
I love her.
You know, and we've talked about a lot of trends that are upcoming that we foresee, but personally speaking, what are some trends that you just absolutely love? And on the flip side, what are trends that you would not be mad if they went away?
Yeah, well, I really love the straight leg jean. I think they're really flattering. I love them with booties, with flats, with sandals, with combat boots. I really like that trend a lot. I'm not sad to see the skinny jeans start to go away, and so I'm loving that trend right now a ton. I'm liking crop tops because they're with high-waisted jeans.
Mm-hmm.
If we go down to the really low-waisted jeans with the crop tops, that gets a little cringy for me. That I think it's because that was what was in style when I first started teaching, and it was like all the high school girls at the time, and this would have been like the late 90s, had the crop tops with the really low-rise jeans, and it was just like, this is a little uncomfortable. So I'm hoping that doesn't return. Other than that, there's nothing really that's happening right now that I really, really dislike. I think I find a lot of comfort in the trends that are happening right now because they are familiar to me. They're comfortable. I like that comfortable. I like the the grunginess of the 90s, but they're doing it better now. That's what I think about trends that come around. It's like, yeah, we did it in the 90s, but it's better now. It's more refined and not as I don't know, like obnoxious, I guess. We did it more obnoxious in the 90s and everything's just more refined. So I like it better. So there's some things I'm hoping don't come in, but there's nothing in right now that makes me hope for it to pass through, I guess.
I personally miss my skinny jeans.
I do too. And I still wear them every now and then because I'm like, you know what? I love these and I just don't want them to ever go away.
I like them both. I like them both.
I do like them both.
But I definitely hope that everyone can agree that low rise should just never come back. I never want that to be a thing.
No.
Yeah, I agree. I still wear skinny jeans too. And I do believe they're not going to go out. I think they're going to stay because they serve us well for certain combinations of clothing, right?
Yeah, for boots. We wear so many boots in the Midwest, and I'm like, gosh, it's very convenient to have skinny jeans.
It is. I know. It's just funny because I remember when they first came out, I hated them. I'm like, what? Who would ever wear those?
Yeah.
And then I was so sad when the flares went, but now it's reversed. So yeah. Anyway. Do you have one of your best fashion investments that you have made that you think is, I guess, well worth?
For like my personal closet?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. God, I have to say at this time of year, my North Face parka is probably topping my list. truthfully. Right. I think I really appreciate all the time. I actually got it for a gift for my daughters, and I think, oh, that was such a nice gift to give, because I appreciate it so much. Closet wise, like fashion wise, I have a pair of Dolce Vita boots that I really like. I have a pair of Doc Marten Chelsea boots that I really like. And so footwear, I think that's a place that I often will find myself splurging. Like if I see something that is really comfortable and I know I'm going to love it for a long time, I'll spend a little bit of money on shoes. I do have a wool BB coated coat that I really like, that I've worn season after season after season. That's just been, and that's so iconic and just so classic. I feel like I'll always be able to wear it. When I was in high school, I splurged. I spent $100, and this would have been in about 1986, which was a ton of my, like, minimum wage was like $3.35, right? So I spent $100 on a pair of Zodiac boots. And that was one of those things that I knew they were slouchy boots, they were trendy, and I didn't care. Like, I was a splurge and I loved them, and I felt so cool wearing them, like the confidence from those boots, and how I just felt like so styled and put together. That was something that I will never regret, even though at the time I was like really like hesitant about doing it. But once I like made the decision, I never looked back and I never regretted it. And so I think that stands out to me as something in my own closet, and I don't have them anymore, and I wish I did.
I love that you like, that's what you remember, just because you had just talked, if you love it, it doesn't matter. And that's such a great example of that. But, speaking of kind of those big investment pieces and really anything, how can people kind of get the most mileage out of their closet? And I especially think of shoes. I am so hard on my shoes, and so sometimes it's hard for me to want to invest too much, because I'm like, gosh, I ruin them or they get dirty. So how can people, not only shoes, but just their wardrobe in general, how can they really make the most out of it and keep it nice long term?
Yeah. Washing your clothes the way they're supposed to be washed and not drying them is one way. Like, you can make things last a lot longer if you just take care of your clothes. I read a lot about, like, you're supposed to wear your denim multiple times before you wash it, and paying attention just to how to care for things. Even with shoes, if you put the right sprays on them and things like that, that will help with water and that kind of stuff. And then just cleaning them up. Like, don't let the snow sit on them. Like, cleaning them up can make things last a lot longer. But in terms of making your closet, I think work for you season after season is, again, going back to those really staple pieces that you have in your closet. Like, I have a cut denim jean jacket. That cut denim is a denim line that we've always carried at Kindred People. I bought it our first season, and I still wear it, and I still grab that same denim. Even though I have about 9 others at this point, I still gravitate towards that one because it's just a staple, classic cut, clean cut jean jacket. I've got the ones with rhinestones and tears and boyfriend style and all of those things. But that classic one is the one that I continually reach for. So keeping those classic pieces. And then I think too, when you move from season to season, you kind of forget like some of the cool things that you have. And so pulling stuff out that you haven't paid attention to for a while and thinking about, how can I wear this differently in this season? So now I have these other things that I didn't have when I was wearing that. Does it go with any of those things? And creating new outfits or looks from some of the pieces that you already have. And then I think too, adding to your closet, I hear this a lot from customers, from the stylists that work at Kindred People. They're adding to their closets by thrifting. And so they're taking what they already have, and then they're adding some pieces through thrifting. And so they're not spending very much money on that. And so it helps their closet seem more eclectic and gives them more options. And so that's another, I think, a way that you can get the most out of your closet without spending a ton of money, by adding some of those pieces into.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
With, thrifting, and on the flip side, kind of reselling clothes. Do you do that? And do you have like a favorite form? Because I personally, over this Christmas break, cleaned out my entire closet and I'm like, okay, now what do I do with all this? Like, do I bring it here? Do I try to sell it online? Have you ever tried to resell or repurpose your clothes?
I haven't. I bring all of mine to a thrift store in our community in Alexandria that it's called Someplace Safe, and all of the proceeds go to a women's shelter.
Oh,
and so that's where I bring my stuff, and that's what I do. But some of my stylists, my daughter, they have used Poshmark. Some of them have done their own Instagrams, and they've just named it, whoever's closet, and they've sold things that way. And so I know that a lot of people do that, and it can be very lucrative. One of our makers that we worked with early on in our business has now opened her own online thrift store. So she thrifts, she repurposes the things. So she'll maybe distress things or tie-dye things, and then she resells them on her online thrift store, which is a really cool concept. And so I think there's so many choices out there, but probably the one that I'm most familiar with as a platform would be Poshmark.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we did put together a really fun game, and we didn't send it to you because it's a surprise. But before that, we try to ask all of our guests this question just because it's so fun to hear the variety of answers. So what does a queen mean to you?
So that's an interesting question. Because I think of Blair Waldorf, Queen Bee, right? But if I think about a queen, and I think about a woman that I would say, wow, that's a queen, it's probably somebody that really just leans into things around them. So they're just like there for it. They're in the moment. They're present. They see the possibilities in things, and they're willing to be vulnerable and give it their best shot. I think that to me is somebody that I would admire, and that's a queen. That's somebody that I would love to emulate those qualities or those characteristics.
I think that's better than Blair Waldorf.
Yeah.
Way better. Blair has the clothes, but that is the mentality for sure. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. But we do have a game. So, and you kind of started talking about it a little bit. So it's almost like you knew, but we want you to plan our outfits based on what type of event we're going to. So you can get as specific or as broad as you would like. If you have designers in mind or a specific piece that you go to all the time, we'd love to reference that. And we will link some items. If you name anything specific, we'll link that for our listeners to be able to look up and shop. But our first one being, we've kind of passed holiday season, but right around the corner is Valentine's Day. So what would you recommend an outfit for Valentine's Day or really any date night?
Well, one of the things, that's funny that you say that, because I just was in the store the other day and I was pulling things that I was thinking would be good for our Valentine's Day celebration that we do at Kindred People. So on the 13th, we do an event at the store around celebrating your girlfriends. And so I was pulling looks for that event because we try to do kind of a refresh. You get to see it first. And one of the things that I love that I pulled was a set. It was a kind of a baby pink, which I'm typically not a pink person, but on Valentine's Day, if you're gonna wear pink, that would be the time, right? And it was a set and just a super soft lounge pant and little cropped top that goes with it. And so that is one thing that I think for Valentine's Day, because I'm kind of a stay in, like, if I can pick the perfect date night, it's like a bottle of wine, my husband, Netflix, just comfy. And so I did pull that, and that's something that comes to mind for like a perfect stay in Valentine's, where you're still cute, styled, but incredibly comfortable. I also think that we have a ton of different dresses. I'm loving the satin dresses, and I'm loving them for New Year's. And I think that they make a great date night and Valentine's Day as well. And so I love the ruche side cocktail dresses. They're just so flattering on so many different body styles and types that I think those are really cute right now. And we have a particular one that comes to mind because it's like a lipstick red. And it was like, you could wear it for holiday, but definitely could go to Valentine's Day as well. I love a puffed sleeve. for a romantic Valentine's Day look. And so we have lots of the puff sleeves, but particularly the ones that are a little more puffed on the shoulders, which is a little bit of a nod again to 90s fashion with shoulder pads, just that. And I think that just frames your face, which is, I think, you know, the highlight of every woman is just their uniqueness in their face and their hair, and those sleeves just frame that really well. And so I think those are a great look and a great choice for a Valentine's Day look as well.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love that.
Love
Yeah.
the puff sleeves.
So
I'm here
fun.
for those.
Okay, so a little bit more casual. Running errands. You're out and about running errands.
Sneakers for sure, right? Like a good pair of sneakers. I love the straight leg denim with sneakers as well, and I think that's a great look. So I would put you guys in a pair of straight leg denim with one busted knee. That's my new favorite right now. I loved two busted knees for a while, but now I really like the one busted knee. A pair of sneakers, probably a hooded sweatshirt, and then a blazer over the top, or a thicker jacket over the top this time of year. And so you have some warmth, but you still look styled and put together.
Cute. I love
that.
that. Yeah.
I think I've worn that outfit before and it's great. Still kind of on the casual end, but maybe not necessarily, but an airport outfit.
Oh, so that, I think airports are fun how they've evolved. It used to be when you got to fly, you kind of got dressed up to fly.
Mhm.
That's not the case anymore. It's really about comfort again. And so really that lounge set that I talked about for Valentine's Day, or the running errand shopping look, is great for the airport too. But I would probably go joggers for an airport look, maybe with a little crop tee and a cardigan sweater, and then again some sneakers or some really comfy combat boots for the airport.
Yeah.
Only if the combat boots have a zip on them though, because you don't want to deal with those laces.
Need to be easily removed.
Yeah. Okay, what about a beach vacation?
You have to have the summer sundress. Like, I'm really loving the two-piece skirts and like little crop top or little sleeveless tops, the two pieces. We got a few in last spring from, especially coming to mind is some from Free People that I really loved, but I'm seeing them again as I'm already buying for spring. We're already there. And so I'm loving that. I do love more of the tropical florals for a beach vacation. I feel it's the place where you can wear those and should. It's special. It's something maybe a little bit outside of your comfort zone to wear so much pattern, but if you're going to, I think that's a fun place to do that. And so when I travel somewhere warm, it's all about dresses. Like, I don't want anything that's tight or restrictive. It's all about sundresses and simple and flowy and easy to wear, easy to pack too.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got to utilize those. We don't get a lot of opportunities to wear that here. So, what about dinner with friends? So not maybe as dressy as a date night, but still going out.
Mm-hmm. So dinner with friends, that's where I'd probably wear my skinny jeans still. They seem more refined, a little bit nicer. I think most of my skinny jeans I have don't have tears in them. And so maybe something that is a little cleaner or minimal tears in them. I would do just a plain white tee, some chunky gold jewelry, a black blazer, or maybe a subtle plaid blazer for going out for dinner with friends, and some really great boots.
Yes. Okay. You mentioned jewelry, and that's something we haven't talked about yet. Do you have any favorite, jewelry lines or just accessories in general?
Yeah. So our jewelry lines is one of the places where we really try to support makers. And so all of the jewelry lines we have in the store are small batch makers. And so, I love them all, so it's really hard to pick. I really have trended towards gold jewelry. My wedding ring is gold because that's how long I've been married. And so I love that trend is back because I do wear a gold wedding ring. I do wear silver jewelry as well, but I like the trend of gold. I am starting to starting to also like silver again, because gold's been around for a bit. And so that I'm liking the hammered silver, and I'm starting to find some pieces that are like a charcoal colored metal. That is kind of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm bringing in a new line that will launch probably in January, February, that has more of that hammered silver and charcoal metals to it, which I'm really liking. It's very boho. We had a line in our store. It was one of our store managers. It's called Black Sheep Jewelry, that we had from almost the beginning of our opening at Kindred People. And she had a very boho minimalist silver jewelry line. And she's really busy being a mama right now. And so her shop's been closed. And I just haven't found anything like it. And so this is the first line that I would say has a little bit of that silver boho vibe to it, which I'm really excited about. We have a line of simple gold and silver jewelry called Honey Cat. And I really searched a long time for like a price sensitive, clean, minimalist gold, silver jewelry, kind of your go-to hoops, your go-to chains. And I just really stumbled upon them searching on the internet, and they had the same was a simple jewelry line that was a friendly price point. And so they couldn't find it. So they made it, which that's a queen right there. Right.
Ah,
And so I was like, oh, this is awesome. And so we have loved that line. And so that's one that's probably our most popular at the moment, because we can get it in both metals. And so people really like silver. They really like gold. And so we can get all the styles in both metals, which has been really nice. And so, I think that accessories, and I have to say that accessories personally have been a weakness of mine, kind of maybe just lazy. So I was like, oh, the clasp of necklace is too much right now. And yet I think it's the easiest way to elevate a look is to accessorize. And so talking about making your closet go a long ways, accessories are the way to take those pieces that maybe you are sick of, and then all of a sudden they look fresh and different because you've accessorized them differently.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
I love that. Yeah, that is so true.
Great insight.
Yeah.
Great outfits. I'm going to re-listen and like re-look at my closet.
Write them down. Yeah.
Oh.
So, okay, before we say goodbye, where can people find you? How can they connect and shop for their new pieces?
Yeah, so we have 2 locations. So our flagship store opened in Alexandria, Minnesota. It's on 6th Avenue, which is just right around the corner from Broadway. And so we're on this little side street. And then we have a second location in downtown Fargo, and we're at 300 Broadway. We're just a couple steps from the Broadway Fargo Marquee, which is an amazing location. We also have a website, shopkindredpeople.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook, probably more active on Instagram, truthfully, but we're just at Shop Kindred People. And so, we're open 24/7 online, but we have those 2 brick and mortar stores, which is I think like the heartbeat of Kindred People. Like we have a website and we try to keep it updated, but we're really about the experience of the shops. And so we encourage people, if you can, to stop in, because that's the most fun in my opinion.
You won't miss out. It was so funny. We were 100% on our way to drive down to your store today, and the weather was just like, we're like not allowing us. So we are going to go because we were like, gosh, we need to go in there and see all the new stuff that you have. But thank you so much for talking with us. This was so fun.
So fun.
Thanks for having me. This is super fun. Best of luck to the 2 of you on your growing podcast and your website. It's like very exciting.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Oh, totally. Well, you were incredible.
Yes,
thank you so much again. We'll obviously stay in touch.
Sounds good. You guys have a great night.
You too. Happy New Year.
Bye.
Blessed New Year. Bye.